What up, Hyperchange? Welcome to another episode of Investing 101. Today we're going to be talking all about revenue and profit, also known as the income statement. But before we dive right in to start analyzing a company's financial statement to show you guys, I wanted to tell you about an incredible resource that I've used to learn a ton about investing right here. It's a little YouTube video put out by Bill Ackman. He's one of the smartest investors in the world. He runs a hedge fund called Pershing Square. He partnered up with this YouTube channel to create an educational video about everything you need to know about finance and investing in under an hour. It is an incredible resource. I've watched it like 10 times. Even for someone who knows finance, it's still fascinating and runs you through all the basics of how to set up a lemonade stand, how you would do the accounting, everything you need to know in that regard. So I'm going to put the link in the description. Make sure to check that out if you want any homework from Investing 101 to step your game up. Watching this hour video is definitely it. You will get so much knowledge. So I wanted to pass along that resource to you guys because he could do such a better job at explaining financial statements than me. All right, now let's get right into it and dive into the SEC filing and see what's good. What up, Hyperchange? Welcome to my computer. Today we're going to take a look at Apple's most recent annual 10K filing. Now, they're about to file a new one for their new fiscal year in like a day or two, so that's kind of confusing, but that doesn't matter. We're just going to look at the old one because it's out already. Now, I wanted to start on Google because everybody knows Google, so let's just get right into it. We're going to search Apple IR. What does this mean? Apple's investor relations. This is the best way to get to the investor relations page of any company you want. Tesla, space IR, Salesforce, space IR, and the investor page will come up right away. Click on that, investor relations at Apple. Now, here we are at Apple's investor news page. As you can see, they're filing their next annual report and doing their earnings on Thursday, November 2nd, tomorrow. So that's going to be pretty epic, but we want to go to their SEC filings. Bam, link right there. Woo, isn't that convenient? Okay, now all these filings, Form 4, quick tidbit on those. Those are about insiders buying or selling stocks. So we have all these insiders buying or selling. That's clogging up the filings. So we're just going to go here, annual, search. Nice. Here we have every annual report that Apple's filed for, the last, so we can go back to 1999. We could even keep going. But we're going to look at the 2016 annual report of Apple. So let's just do PDF. That sounds easy. Here we are. We are in the world of Apple's SEC filings, the 10K. We're getting our hands dirty. Let's do this. This is a super long filing, hundreds of pages. We want to get right to the financials, to the income statement. So here, this page, it will show us kind of a directory, table of contents. What are we looking for right now? This is what we are looking for. Financial statements and supplementary data, page 38. Now, don't get too worried about finding this in the table of contents or not. You just got to scroll, and once you find it, it'll be very obvious and you'll get used to it. So as we can see, this is all just text in the beginning. Text, text, text. I don't see any numbers. Text, text, text. I don't see any numbers. Text, text, text. Okay, there's a little bit of numbers. But 29, we want to get to page 38. 33, 34, 35, 36, 37. Okay, see, now there's this space. And here they say financial statements and supplementary data. This is where we want to be. This is where they actually get into the numbers and they're doing standard GAAP accounting. Here we are, consolidated statement of operations, also known as the income statement. Basically, what this is telling you is this is what happened to the operations of a company during a given period. So as you can see, they have 3 different years. So we can compare, each year to the previous year and see how Apple is trending. And that's really helpful and useful. So they give it to us right there. But for now, we are going to focus on this year right here, the year ending September. So you can see years ended September 24th, 2016. In this year ending September 24th, 2016, Apple did 215 million. Oh, wait. Now, in millions. All these numbers are in millions. So this would be 639 million, $215 billion in net sales. What are sales? This is money coming in. When you buy an iPhone for $1,000, Apple is recording $1,000 of net sales. So that's really simple rule of thumb. Whenever Tesla sells a car for $70,000, they're recording $70,000 in net sales. Now, important to note, net sales is also called revenue. Sales, revenue, net sales. It's all the same metric. It's money coming in. When you sell a cup of lemonade for $1, you get $1 in sales, $1 in revenue. That's the money that comes in. Now let's drop to cost of sales. This is a very important distinction. This is the cost that it actually took to make that product. Continuing with the Apple analogy, this is the cost of the chip that goes into the phone, the glass case on the phone, the little antenna in the phone, every little piece of the phone that's actually in the phone, and then the labor required to actually assemble that phone. So what this is telling you is this is the actual cost to produce the phone before any of, paying employees to design it, before we have to pay for rent for our main headquarters facility, before any of that. This is just the cost of the parts to build the iPhone. So if you would think about a Tesla analogy, let's say they sell a car for $70,000 and it cost them $35,000 worth of parts and labor to build, we would see $35,000 in cost of sales and the rest goes to gross margin. So as we can see in Apple's case, out of the $215 billion, almost $216 actually, billion of net sales, it cost them $131.376 billion to create those products. Therefore, the number that we are left in, this is just subtracting this from this, is $84 billion. So this is what's left over coming into Apple after they've actually built the products that they've sold. Now we're moving down to operating expenses. And these are known as more fixed costs. These can be called your variable costs because they vary with each product you sell. These are fixed costs. You're always running your R&D department. You're always doing your SG&A and hiring your sales staff and your CEO. And paying rent for your buildings. These are fixed costs. So as you can see, Apple spent $10 billion on R&D last year. They spent $14 billion on selling SG&A. And it's really important to note, we can go through the filing later and you can scroll through every little section and it will detail exactly what selling general administrative expenses are. It will also detail exactly what research and development expenses are. But for the purpose of this video, we're just going to take it at face value and crunch through the numbers. So as you can see, here total operating expenses, they're adding up SG&A and revenue, and Apple spent $24 billion to run the company as a whole. Those are their fixed costs. But they had $84 billion in gross profit after they built their products that they sold. And so now we're going to subtract the $24 billion from the $84 billion. And that's how we're getting to operating income, $60 billion. This is how much, and this is when I say EBIT in my videos, that stands for earnings before interest and taxes. This is exactly what operating income is. EBIT equals operating income. This is the number that I look at. It is perhaps, in my opinion, the most important number along with net sales. This is revenue. Let's call it money coming in. This is profit. At the end of the day, how much did you make? So let's just recap. Apple had $216 billion in sales, cost them $131 billion to do those. That means they had a gross profit of $84 billion. Then they had $24 billion in fixed expenses. We subtract that from their gross profit and we get $60 billion of operating income. So now you know that in its last fiscal year, Apple made $60 billion. And this is where it gets kind of fun. We can compare and say, oh, Apple actually made less money in the year ending 2016 than they did the year ending 2015. That's interesting. But if you look at the year before that, they're actually up from that. So, we can tell Apple made $52 billion in profit in the year ending in 2014, then 71, then this year ending 2016, $60 billion. So now we can start to see a trend. We can look at their revenue, how that's trending over time. Now, quickly, let's dive into the next line. Other income expense. This is other random stuff that's not associated with the core business. This could be, income from debt, from interest expenses, from selling a company, from selling IP. I don't know. It could be anything. You got to read the filing to understand it. But the point is they're calling this other income because it's not necessarily part of the core business. And then this right here is going to be income before taxes. So here they're going to say that before we paid taxes, we made $61 billion, which was the $60 billion plus this 1.3. Then we're going to set aside $16 billion for taxes. So our net income after taxes is $46 billion. Then they're going to tell you how much that translated to per share. If you'll check this out, we can go here and see, okay, Apple had 5.5 billion shares outstanding, basic. 45 billion divided by 5 billion is about $8.35 per share. So that's how they're getting to that as well. So this is also really useful because this is how you can figure out the value of the company given how many shares are outstanding. We'll get to that in a future episode. But now you know how to check out the income statement. Revenue, net sales up here. how much it cost them to produce that revenue, cost of sales right here. Then you got your gross margin. Those are your that's your gross profit of the company before you're paying any of your fixed cost. Here are all your fixed costs, which add up to 24 billion in this case. After we subtract those from your gross profit, we are left with your operating income, aka your earnings before interest or taxes. Then we add in the interest and taxes, and we'll see we get the net income. So this is how you figure out. You can go to a company's filings. If this number's negative and this number's negative, they're not making money. They're not profitable. You can deduce a trend from saying, is revenue growing? Is it shrinking? You can really start to do all kinds of analysis when you start getting your hands dirty and realizing that, okay, this is revenue, this is how much it costs. You can even start doing analysis like, is it costing them more per dollar in revenue to build each iPhone? And then extrapolate those kind of trends. But anyway, that wraps it up. This is my walkthrough of Apple's Form 10K income statement. I'm going to put all the links to this in the description so you can make sure to access them there. That wraps up another episode of Investing 101. Thanks for tuning in. Next week, we're going to go over the balance sheet and get a little bit even deeper in the company's financials. So stay tuned for that. Questions, comments, concerns, leave it below. I'll try and reply. That's Hyperchange. This is Investing 101. I'll see you guys next week. Peace.